Right now on the National Weather Desk, Arctic blast, where you can expect to see temperatures plunging this weekend. Deadly cold, Asian countries battling nose-diving temperatures, wondering when warmer weather will return. Also, how a storm this week in Ohio compares to the blizzard of '78.
We were actually shut down for days because of this, but it wasn't just because of the blizzard itself.
We'll explain how a snow forecast can drastically and very quickly change.
And that's all it took from us to go from torrential snowfall to wet snow that didn't actually measure up.
And you'll see how one volcanic eruption can impact worldwide weather.
One volcano, one eruption in one day increased the amount of water in the stratosphere by 10%.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. It's been an active weather week, from rain to snow, and even those tornadoes that ripped through southern sections of the country. Thousands are picking up the pieces of their damaged homes, businesses, cars, and so much more. The National Weather Service says this is shaping up to be one of the most active tornado seasons in recent years, and now it looks like severe cold could be on the way in parts of the country. Let's turn now to meteorologist Brian Vandergraff for a look at the next weather maker.
Hey, yeah, well, we'll tell you what, as we head into the upcoming weekend, this cold from Canada and up from the poles is going to be sinking southward. And as that cold air comes in, get this, over 100 million Americans will be seeing temperatures that are below average. And this is intense. Take a look at some of these wind chills. On Sunday, 33 below over at International Falls, 30 below at Bismarck, 15 below in Omaha. And by Monday, that cold continues to work its way in, near 40 degrees below across the Dakotas, even in Wyoming, 22 below out in Cheyenne, Chicago, 1 below. And this colder air will continue to permeate south and eastward. So parts of the rest of the country will also be getting into the deep chill.
Thanks, Brian. In parts of Ohio, we're expecting 6 inches of snow on Wednesday, but they ended up with less than 2 inches. So what happened? Dayton meteorologist Nick Marizak says it all has to do with temperatures, and their 3 degrees can even make a difference in this case.
Here in Dayton, we saw a wide range of different precipitation across the area. And the reason? Temperatures. And it wasn't as big of temperature swing as you think. So starting 2-3 in the morning, it was about 32, 33 degrees in around Dayton. It was bouncing back and forth. And thus what we saw is torrential snowfall, 1 inch an hour rates. By the time we got to 4, we saw temperatures tick up about 1 degree. And that's all it took from us to go from torrential snowfall to wet snow that didn't actually measure up and didn't begin to accumulate. By the time we got towards 5, 6 in the morning across most of the Miami Valley, those temperatures had risen up as far north as 70. What that meant is the southern half of our area wasn't seeing any more snow, and in fact was transitioning to more of a winter mix and some rain. That eventually, as we got into the morning hours, spread as far north as Auglaize County, meaning a lot of us actually fully switched over from snow to rain. When we talk about a forecast having to change because of temperatures, sometimes it comes down to just 2, 3, and 4 degrees.
And most of this week's wild weather is due to one low pressure center that spawned tornadoes across parts of Texas and Louisiana before moving up the Mississippi River Valley and towards the Great Lakes. Meteorologist Marshall McPeak says the 2 to 4 inches of snow in the Columbus area reminded folks of a brutal blizzard that happened exactly this time 45 years ago.
Today is it took 3 days to come through, but is the anniversary of the blizzard of '78. These pictures are from the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and you can see that the cruisers are just covered in snow there. The snow piled up way higher than the cruisers here. And if you notice, that's a guy with a snowplow trying to get through the enormous mountains of snow. In parts of Ohio, we were actually shut down for days because of this, but it wasn't just because of the blizzard itself, which actually was very similar to a hurricane because it actually generated 75-mile-per-hour winds, and at the time was the lowest barometric pressure of any storm ever recorded in the continental U.S. We had 16 to 20 inches of snow already on the ground across a lot of the Midwest, and those sustained winds whipped up the brand new snow along with what was already on the ground, and the blowing and drifting was incredible. We ended up with drifts of up to 20 feet high. Commerce was shut down. They brought in the National Guard to move the snow. Schools were closed for more than a week, and a lot of areas were without power. So as we deal with what's left of the storm that's coming through now, it's at least not just as bad as it was for the blizzard of 78.
Well, snowfall seems to be welcome in parts of the Midwest. Meteorologist Lynette Grant says she had to keep changing her coats and hats. That's how wet the snowfall has been in Warsaw, Indiana, and they are expecting more snow. That's where she caught up with folks who fall on all sides of the take it or leave it when it comes to this winter weather.
It took a while, but it finally looks like winter in Kosciuszko County.
Well, winters are a lot different than they used to be. It seems like they're a little more mild now. So it's kind of nice to see a little bit of snow.
Ryan Earn has lived in Kosciuszko County his entire life. He's used to the snow and everything that comes with it, from the shoveling to the plowing. But it isn't all hard work.
What are some of your favorite things to do in the snow?
Throw snowballs at the trees.
Wednesday's snowfall is the most the area has seen since around Christmas. It has kept Kosciuszko County pretty busy. This snow accumulated quickly, leaving spots recently cleared to be covered once again with snow.
Yeah, our road crews have been at it all day. They'll keep attacking it.
Now that winter has arrived, it provides the county with a winter wonderland, and people can enjoy it how they want.
Make snow angels and get a swing and make a big snow pile, and then you go into it.
It's pretty. Now it can go away.
Well, we are not the only country having a tough winter. A wave of extreme cold is ripping through East Asia. It's all caused by sub-zero temperatures blowing in from Siberia. As you can see here, drivers are really having a rough time on the snowy roads. Japanese officials are calling it a once-in-a-decade cold snap, and it's a deadly one. At least 4 people have died after working to clear all of that snow. The bitter cold has also been felt in Russia, China, and the Korean Peninsula. California is still drying out from those atmospheric rivers that pounded the state with heavy rain and snow. Now that the skies are clear, we can see how all that moisture really changed the landscape. Let's take a look with meteorologist Alan Seals.
Well, lately it's been more than enough rain for California, the Golden State. Focus on some of the positives and negatives. That is, it sort of eased the drought. But in Central California, in the capital city of Sacramento, take a look at this comparison. These are USGS Landsat satellite views of the landscape before the floods and after the floods. And if it doesn't stand out, take a closer look. That's the Sacramento River heading southward through Central California in flood. Notice how much of the farmland shows that muddy brown color. As of a couple of days ago, going back a month ago or so, it wasn't an issue. Suddenly, overflowing rivers as that water headed southward, merging with the San Joaquin River, feeding it, heading westward. Same story. The rivers exceed their capacity. They flood the nearby landscape, heading through Grizzly Bay, San Pablo Bay, eventually San Francisco Bay. So the rain was positive, the snow was positive, but the runoff, the flooding, the sediment, not so positive. That's the trade-off of getting too much rain in a short period. But it is something that the Golden State needs because they have been in a drought for a really long time. That's an improvement. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
And take a look at this video that was sent to us from Cheyenne McDuffie from Amarillo, Texas. Humans were not the only ones dealing with recent snow in that state. Her dogs are originally from Florida, have never seen snow before. As you can see, they were pretty curious and standoffish at first, but it looks like once they got comfortable there, they enjoyed playing in all of that snow. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, it's been 1 year since the Hunga Tonga volcano erupted on the island in the middle of the South Pacific. We'll talk with an expert about the impacts still being felt today. And the Great Lakes are finally seeing some ice, what this means for shipping in that region, coming up.
Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti would look at the northeast. We have a storm system departing the northeast this morning. Notice the rain, snow, a little bit of a wintry mix in the mountains, mainly freezing rain there. The wind picks up during the course of the day, and many areas see at least a little bit of sun. Notice some snow showers in New York and also into Vermont and New Hampshire. I think we'll get full sunshine returning on Friday. Should be a pretty nice looking day, and Saturday's pretty good as well. Notice a few snow showers right there with a front, and that moves through during the afternoon on Saturday. Enjoy.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Up and down the 95 corridor, temperature settling generally into the 30s to begin your day on Thursday. As we head into the afternoon, hard-pressed to get much out of the 40s to near 50s, some 30s up into the mountains. But looks like some sunshine returns, but it will be blustery. Maybe some clouds increasing during the afternoon in the wake of our latest weather maker, a cold front. And then we're watching another one with some clouds that could get here Friday night. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for today. Looking at a temperature of about 40 degrees in Nashville, 54 in Raleigh, Charleston at 58 degrees, 60 in Jacksonville, 75 West Palm. We have a cold front that went through the other day, dropping some showers, but also dropping those temperatures. Looks like we'll continue to stay on that track as we go through the day. We'll see clearing across the area. That front moves east. High pressure builds in, keeping us nice and clear through the day. And it looks like drier conditions for the next couple.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Snowfall in Pennsylvania has this dog plenty playful near the city of York. Meanwhile, back in Salt Lake City, Utah, it was a different kind of snow. Meteorologist Chase Thomason describes it as pixie dust. No shovel needed here. This snow light enough for removal with a leaf blower. And along the Appalachian Trail earlier this week, this lovely sunrise.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
And welcome back, everyone. It's been 1 year since the Hunga Tonga volcano erupted on an island in the middle of the South Pacific, thousands of miles from civilization, still impacting weather worldwide even to this day. Emily Gracie spoke with a NASA scientist about what made this particular volcano different from the others.
Hunga Tonga put a huge amount of water vapor into the stratosphere to huge altitudes. We've never seen a volcano emit stuff so high. I mean, it's really, really unique. And it has had a direct impact on the southern hemisphere temperatures in the stratosphere and the winds, a very, very large impact.
What has the impact been?
Well, first of all, the mid-latitudes of the southern hemisphere above, about 16 kilometers, 10 miles or so, is much, much colder than normal. And that's because of the water vapor cooling to space. So all these water vapor molecules, extra water vapor molecules, are emitting directly to space, cooling off that column of stratospheric air in the mid-latitudes. What that does is, in the subtropics, that's accelerated the winds. So there's kind of an anomalous flow all over the southern hemisphere right now.
Have you seen that before with any volcanic eruptions? Have you seen, like, Mount St. Helens? Was there any long-term impact there?
Well, Mount Pinatubo injected a huge amount of sulfur dioxide, SO2. So you get these little tiny particles, and they're the little tiny spheres, and they appear white, so they reflect radiation back to space. So the Earth's surface cooled because of Mount Pinatubo. Now, Hunga Tonga, literally the volcanic eruption itself increased the total amount of water in the stratosphere by 10%. One volcano, one eruption in one day increase the amount of water in the stratosphere by 10%.
So there's a temperature impact. Is there a precipitation impact?
No, because it's all in the stratosphere. The stratosphere is pretty dry overall. And so it's really just it's water vapor, which absorbs in the IR.
And head over to YouTube to see a longer version of this interview. Dr. Newman talks about the impact the volcano will have on the ozone layer next year. Just search for the National Weather Desk and hit the subscribe button while you're there. The Great Lakes have seen less ice cover this year. This could have an impact on winter recreation and also on businesses. But as Green Bay meteorologist Phil DeCastro explains, more ice could be on the way.
With the arrival of the Algo Canada on Tuesday morning into the port of Green Bay, the end of this shipping season has arrived. Even though the ice pack out on the bay isn't really a solid sheet, that's partly why the Coast Guard has decided to close shipping for the winter.
So it's when you're in those in-between years where you have some ice that people are getting out on with machines and that and traveling offshore some distance that will shut down earlier. So either you need to have good hard ice or no ice. Those conditions allow you to stay open longer.
Despite the relatively loose ice pack, the bay is actually the iciest part of Lake Michigan at the moment. But that might not be saying much because ice cover right now is at very low levels for this time of the year. Overall ice coverage on the Great Lakes was sitting at about 6% on January 23rd. That's the most recent data that we have available at the time of this recording. And that is way down from a year ago, which was sitting at more like 20% at the same point last winter. While it might not look much difference between the two winters is in the near shore areas along these lakes. So as I change these graphics, you can see that changes from gray back to blue there as I fade out last year's ice cover. Now, Lake Michigan itself was sitting at just 9% ice cover as of the 23rd. That's down from about 19% last winter, and you can see all that ice along a lot of those near shore areas. Most of that ice cover that we've got this year, by the way, is sitting along Green Bay. As you see here, while ice coverage pretty similar to last year, it is the bay that's almost completely socked in and packed full of ice while the lake is open, even if that bay is not necessarily one solid sheet. But with much colder Arctic air on the horizon, it probably won't remain the only icy place on the lake for much longer.
When it comes to temperature, clouds can make a big difference. But do cloudy skies always mean colder temperatures? To find out, we head to Brandon Lawson in Charleston, West Virginia.
Hey there, I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson. I want to talk about how clouds play a major role in our temperatures. Now, you're probably like, Brandon, I know clouds play a role in our temperature. What are you talking about? If we don't have a lot of clouds in the day, we're going to heat up. If we do have the clouds, we're obviously going to be cooler. But it also plays an impact at night, too, with those clouds. I want to talk about it with you for a moment. First, let's bring in our sun here. The sun allows for solar radiation during the day, and that solar radiation is what heats up our atmosphere. But did you know at night there's also a type of radiation? So at night, let's bring in some clear skies for you. We have what's called infrared radiation. So it's that heat at night that is escaping off into the atmosphere. So all that heat we saw throughout the day, it escapes at night into space. However, much like your blankets and your covers at night, the atmosphere can get a blanket. It's called the clouds. The clouds can act as a blanket, and that infrared radiation that's trying to allow that heat to escape out into space, it gets blocked by those clouds. It's trapped, and that allows us to stay warmer at night when we have cloudy conditions. Now, there's obviously certain things like cold fronts and wind direction that can still cool you down with the clouds. But notice, on a clear night, temperatures might fall back into the 20s, and you deal with the hard frost with conditions like that. But when you have a lot of clouds, temperatures could stay warmer, maybe in the 30s, if not warmer, depending on the weather setup.
Here on the National Weather Desk, as you just heard, we talk a lot about clouds, from altostratus to cirrus, even wave clouds. Let's go to Charleston, South Carolina, where meteorologist Cheriston Clark talks about another type.
Hey y'all, welcome to this new series that I'm starting called Whiteboard Weather, where we simply talk about different weather phenomena using our handy dandy whiteboard. So first up in the series is the Pileus cloud, or Pileus. I've heard it said both ways, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with Pileus. But it's pretty much that cute little cloud, that little cap cloud over top that cumulus or cumulonimbus cloud. So let's talk about how these cool clouds form. Let's take your typical cumulus cloud right here. The surrounding warm air quickly rises. Then after that warm air quickly rises, it cools and condenses very quickly, and that creates that cap-like structure. And these pileus clouds typically foreshadow strong or severe storms and often resemble that cap, that hat, or that halo, typically on top of those cumulus clouds. Nonetheless, a very cool thing to see if you ever get the chance.
And here's a great example of virga. This was taken recently in west central Texas. What you see here is very dry air near the ground is evaporating the rain before it hits the ground. It makes it look like the rain is floating on or hanging under the clouds. Just gorgeous. We'll be right back.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. A lot of us dealing with some snow showers here and there across a lot of the Midwest for us here. Temperatures definitely going to be on the chilly side for your Thursday today. As we move ahead into your Friday, got a little bit of light snow, especially up by the northern Great Lakes. And continuing on into our Saturday, we got a quick clip of snow racing its way across the Central Plains over towards the Great Lakes.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Temperatures a little chilly this morning. 20 degrees up in Amarillo, 20s in Oklahoma City. Compare that to the 40s down toward South Texas and over toward Louisiana. All during the day today, plenty of sunshine comes back into the region. Air will be dry, northerly wind coming through. That means temperatures still staying a little bit below the normal all the way across from Amarillo down to San Antonio over to New Orleans. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Thursday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Most of the active weather has been in the midsection of the country and back east. So by comparison, it still looks pretty quiet back out west. 60 and some sunshine around Las Vegas, just 23 though out of Jackson Hole, and 40s between Seattle and Portland. Next weather maker coming down the west coast will be this little disturbance dropping into the Rockies. Some snow expected around Missoula as we head into Thursday night. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The Chinook winds are generally a westerly wind, and the history behind the name is pretty interesting. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has more.
The name Chinook refers to the Native American people that lived in the geographical area where the winds originate, but it also means snow eater. Toward the end of winter, Chinook winds become more common, and it's all because of the weather setup. It's ideal for them to occur. While they originate in the North Pacific states of Washington and Oregon, the impacts of Chinook winds are often felt on the east side of the Rockies. As moist air flows off the Pacific Ocean and toward the mountains, it starts to rise. As the air rises, pressure decreases, and that air cools and expands. Then, condensation occurs and all of the moisture gets sucked out of the wind in the form of rain or snow. By the time the wind travels down over the other side of the mountain, it's dry and warm. Those resulting Chinook winds can be strong. In fact, back in January of 1982, the winds caused damage equivalent to an EF2 tornado, uprooting trees, downing power lines, and damaging roofs in Boulder, Colorado. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
And thank you for joining us on the National Weather Desk. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, find out how long it takes a snowflake to go from the cloud to the ground. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Thursday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.